Today I am here to talk about Janavi, my life story. Are you interested in listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to spend an hour with you telling you about my life. My life started in the year 1982, April 2nd. And I was a child who was quite naughty. I was quite naughty. How many of you are naughty? All of you are naughty. I was a naughty child like any of you. And handling me, don't put the fan please. Handling me was a trouble to my parents. How many of your parents are struggling handling you? Some hands coming up slowly. Yeah, I'm sure. It was a similar case. In my case, maybe it was a little extreme. Because I had an elder brother who was very obedient. Alright? And I was a naughty, notorious guy, and he was an obedient, decent guy. Now what happens? Parents always compare. Look at your brother. I told him to do, he did. You don't do. Say, you don't do this also. Look at him, look at him. And that leads to something called as sibling rivalry. Right? You are like against your brother suddenly. Why is this fellow doing all these things to me now? How I wish he was not there in our life. How many of you have this? Quite a lot of people have this sibling rivalry. So whatever my parents said, I felt that consciously doing just to insult me in front of my brother. You can understand my feeling, right? I was having this feeling. So slowly I started revolting against my parents. They just want to insult me, so they are doing this. It went on. It started growing inside. The differences between me and my parents started growing. I used to be reserved, not share any of my feelings with my parents, because I thought they will not understand. They will not understand me. And they thought I won't understand them. Slowly the amount of talking and interaction also reduced. So moment from the school I come in, I go to my room. I lock my room. So I am comfortable with my zone. No parents, no brother allowed. Sorry, no entry. So there was a need for me to prove that I am right and all you people are wrong. Suddenly, it started in me that I am right and my parents are wrong. They are unnecessarily accusing me. They are doing it consciously. They say something, I want to oppose them. I want to prove that they are wrong. If they make a statement, let's say that I need to do something by 10 o'clock, I would do everything to make sure that I will not do it at 10 o'clock. Just to prove them they are wrong and I am right. So much so, when I started my school, how many of you know the RPC Layout branch? How many of you have seen the office of mine there? Most of you have seen my office, right? Small one, very, very small one. At one point, I told my parents I'm moving out of my house. That was in the age of 23. At the age of 23, I said, I have nothing to do with you people. I am moving out of the house. I took the bag, put my clothes in, went and settled down in my school. I lived in the RPC Layout office for 2.5 years. Inside that office, there was an attached bathroom anyways. I lived there for 2.5 years. One fine day, I was on the terrace of the school. On one beautiful evening, the sun was setting. I was enjoying. Suddenly, a thought struck me. From where that thought struck me, I don't know. Suddenly, I was observing the sunset, and a thought struck me that this beautiful life, what you're enjoying, this beautiful nature, what you're enjoying, this beautiful evening, what you're enjoying, this very life where you're breathing and breathing out, is a gift given by your parents to you. This line from somewhere hit me. I don't know where. It was very unlike me to even perceive this thought. I was not very comfortable with this thought. No, I'm against them. I need to prove them that they are wrong. And suddenly a thought which came into me saying, you are there only because they brought you inside this world, into this world. This thought continued for many hours. The next thought was, today you're principal of a school. You're taking care of hundreds of students, so many teachers. To do that, you are educated. And who gave you this education to you? And the thought was very clear. It was my parents who gave me education for which I am successful. Suddenly, within 1 minute, the color of the sky started changing. My mind started changing. The thoughts were very different. The thought was full of gratitude. Today, you are successful only because of your parents, because of the education they gave you. Then the thought continued. How many of you know the story of how you people were born? When your mother got conceived, when you were 2.5 months in her stomach, let's say, she had a lot of giddiness, nausea, puking sensation. Whatever she ate used to come out. You're all science students, you're understanding what I'm saying, right? Yet she had to eat. Yet she had to eat because if not, you will not be nurtured. Even though she is feeling like puking, she eats because you need to be nurtured. Then slowly the stomach starts growing bigger and bigger and bigger. A child is maybe 2 kgs, 3 kgs. And she needs to carry that child all the time inside a room, everywhere she goes. Whether she goes to toilet, whether she goes to eat food, whether she is sitting in front of the TV. Imagine having a big 3 kg ball and traveling for months. How much of discomfort it causes. Can you perceive it? How much of discomfort it causes. All this trouble I gave to my mother even before I was born. Even before I was born, I have troubled my mother. And on the day of delivery, for how many hours I don't know, screaming and yelling out of excruciating pain. We call it our birthdays. We celebrate it as our birthdays. But that day was the most painful day for our mother. You're all science students. Through a small opening, such a big head comes out. How much of pain she would have taken. If it was a C-section, then you're ripping off your stomach. You're getting your stomach cut. And there I come out to this world. Does it end there? Do I stop troubling her because it's over now, 9 months is over? No. The actual trouble starts from there on. I am awake whole night. She needs to be awake whole night to feed me. Every other hour. Not for a day. For months. Do you realize, Chirag, how comfortable is it to be awake whole night? Night after night, being awake because I am crying. And she doesn't want to see me crying. Because she doesn't want to see me crying, Smriti, she is awake whole night. Weeks after weeks, she is awake whole night. Can we do that to our mother? Can we be awake weeks after week, overnight, for anybody? Can we do it back to our mother, what she has done? She is awake because we are crying. We are not comfortable, and she doesn't want us to be in any discomfort. The father is carrying the child whole night. After a busy day, after slogging the whole day, comes home. What do you feel like doing after a whole long day of slog? You feel like throwing things and relaxing. But no, you're a father, so you take the child and you pat the child for hours together. These thoughts started coming into me. What all has happened for me to be here now? All the time making susu and potty 10 times a day, mother and father cleaning it 10 times a day, 20 times a day. Easy? Are we capable of doing it to our parents 10 times a day? These thoughts are coming to me, and I want to prove them wrong today, and I want to rebel against them today. I remember my father, I was bicycling and fell down from bicycle. He was working in Tumkur then. He was working in Tumkur then. He came back overnight, traveling by bus to see whether I'm okay. My mother was telling, no, he's okay, he just got a small sprain in his leg. But he could not stay far, knowing that his son was not fine. So he came overnight to make sure, just to see, open the door, okay, my son is alright. What amount of love. I'm sure when my parents planned to go out for trips, they always planned keeping we children in mind. Where will these children be comfortable? Are there slides? Is there a swimming pool? Is there a lawn where they can jump around? They consider these things beyond what they want in vacation. It's not what I want in my vacation, it's what is right for my children in vacation. And today I compete with them. How many of your parents have made house near to Nagdevanalli Chitrakuta school just because it will be comfortable for you? Can you raise your hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of your parents have relocated. You know what it means, relocating? I don't care about my comforts, my neighborhood, my neighbors. I don't mind traveling from here to Whitefield so that my children get best education. So they relocated their house. Can you perceive this idea? They removed their base, moved somewhere else so that you are comfortable. What amount of sacrifice are we talking here? I don't mind going all the way to Whitefield, no problem. Every day 1 hour I have back pain, it's okay. I don't mind going. But I want my children to be very, very, very comfortable. I remember my father coming to my school and fighting with my teachers. No, my son is not wrong. No, you are treating him wrong. He is not wrong. Standing by to protect me. That is what parents are. I remember my mother, it's okay. I remember my mother telling, once they had been out for a pilgrimage. They went out for a temple. My mother missed out her lunch in the hurry. She had to get 3 of her children ready and stuff. We all sat in the car. In the meanwhile, she missed out on her lunch. And by the time they reached the temple, which was very, very far, it was late night. They went to hotel to see whether there is any food. There was very little food available. So only children ate. There was very little food available. Not that she could not afford. The food was not there in the hotel. It was late night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock for all I know. She didn't get dinner. So she missed her lunch. She didn't get dinner also. So she asked for, anything is there worth eating? So he said, I have 1 glass of milk. And she gave her milk. For the sake of formality, my mother asked me and my brother, do you want to have milk? And we said, yes. We took and we drank. He said, my mother is offering milk. I need to drink. It was very cold there and she has to sleep in that cold, hungry, and she would happily do it for our children. She would happily do it for our children. Today, if there are 2 apples, if it is there in the house, do I take the best apple for myself and give a little rotten one to my parent, or otherwise? We think, there are 2 good apples, which one shall I eat? Which one shall I give to my father? We think, and our parents did it happily. I wasn't a great student till at least 6th, 7th standard. I wasn't a great student. I picked up only in the high school. I remember my mother going to parent-teachers meeting and being scolded by the teachers because she is my mother. What a tragedy. Because she paid the fees, I didn't do my responsibility of studying, and she is scolded. And she says sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of my son. I'm sorry on behalf of my daughter. How much can I own up my mother's mistake and say, my mother has done this, but I'm sorry? How much do I do? Instead, I have this problem. How could she do this mistake? I'll tell you something. On the day of inauguration of RPC layout school, on the day of inauguration, morning 7 o'clock, we are supposed to inaugurate the school. Alright? An invitation has been given to everybody. The way many of you would have seen the inauguration of NDH, in the equal grand scale, we inaugurated the Hampinagar building. 7 o'clock morning, we are supposed to inaugurate. Friends, relatives, parents, everybody are invited. The previous night, at 12 o'clock, my father's father, my grandfather, died. Okay? 7 hours before the inauguration, he was due to inaugurate. He had come to Bangalore to inaugurate the building and he died. My father lost his father. And in the ambulance, the dead body was brought to my house. And from there, it was going to village. I went to do pranam to my grandfather, and my father called me and said this line. My father's death should not come in the way of your happiness. I don't want you to stop yourself from inaugurating the building tomorrow. You shall inaugurate. People will celebrate. It's okay. This pain is for me. This pain will not touch you. I inaugurated the building without my father and mother. Because they were there with my grandfather. I can't perceive, I just cannot perceive my father could be so considerate towards me. Can I even perceive that love? I have lost my father, it's okay. I don't want it to come in your way. Your happiness is more important to me as a father. Do we realize good possibility that someday we also might lose our parents? And on that day, if we think, how I wish I could have done this, how I wish I could have hugged my father, how I wish I would have told my mother I love you, maybe it's going to be too late. Anything can happen, right? When people go out, anything can happen. But whatever happens, will we be able to excuse ourselves that day? Who are we fighting with? Fighting with our own parents. Whom are we putting against us? Our own people. People who have done so much for us. Now that I told you some of the experience of whatever my parents have done to me, ask me a question. If your mother asks for something which is not rational, which is foolish, can't I do that much at least? If my mother says something which doesn't make much sense, let's say, for me, is it a big deal? My mother asked me to get something or come at 5 o'clock. You are a girl, so you better come at 6 o'clock home, you will be safe. Let's say your mother says. You don't believe in it. You don't believe in what she is telling you. You think, I can be safe even at 11 o'clock at night. Fine. But can't you do that to your mother because she wants? For all what we have taken, can't we do at least this much back to them? By then the sun had set. By the time these thoughts passed by me, the sun had set. I knew my rest of the life. Gratitude is a mother of all other virtues. And the moment I became grateful to my parents and said, whatever I am today is because of them, my life changed. Overnight it changed. Since then, every time I hold a mic and they're there, I acknowledge their presence. I thank them for bringing me, giving life to me, and only then start my speech. Not that through that I repay, that is the least I can do anyway. I don't remember in the last 10 years having any arguments with my parents. Maybe it's an achievement, you call it? Call it. In the last 10 years, never have had an argument with my parents. Never on anything. It's okay. It's okay. I can do that. It's okay. Because they love me enough. They would never ask my kidney. They would never ask me to kill myself. All they ask is small things. If at all they ask small things. How many of us care to go to our parents and ask, can I press your legs? Can I massage your legs? Is it paining? How old are you? 14 years. 14 years you have fed me, you have had me. Can I just make you feel a little comfortable today? Can I just make you feel a little comfortable today? Is it too much of giving back? It's nothing. But we have an ego. What will my friends think if they see that I am pressing my parents' legs? Damn you and your friends. I always prioritized my friends over my parents till the time I had realization. I used to lie to my parents so that I could do something with my friends. I could steal from my parents so that I could do something with my friends. I would make my parents wait so that I can spend more time with my friends. Friends are so important and parents are not. Friends are so important and parents are not. Yeah. Continuing my story, I went back to them, had long talks. Several times I had long talks. I had to take the lead role then. I had to be the big man to patch up the wounded relationship. I had to patch up the wounded relationship. I had to be the big man. I happily did it. I spoke to them. When I started respecting them, something happened. When I started respecting them, Asmita, they started respecting me all the more. I used to go there and say, I am all because of you. And they say, no, you are a great man. You are a great man. Thousands of students look up to you, you are a great man. I'm like, these were not my parents, they were always against me. They were just waiting for that moment where I would keep my ego aside and say thank you, so that they could in turn feel happy about the relationship. They were waiting. It's time we understand the value of our parents in our lives. Every time you argue with them, think for a second. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Should I argue? Is it worth it? With whom am I arguing? And for what am I arguing? With whom am I arguing and for what am I arguing? You didn't bring me a KFC chicken, so I'm arguing. For what? And with whom? Somewhere down the lane, aren't we taking their love for granted? You take it for granted till you have it. You take it for granted till you have it. Not after that. Can we patch up the strained relationship we have with our parents? Be very frank, tell me, how many of you hug your parents? Please raise your hands. Yet. How many of you feel, oh, how can I hug my parents? I feel very uncomfortable. Raise your hands. I feel uncomfortable hugging my parents. There are. I was feeling uncomfortable many years. True. Can we break that and go and hug them? How many of us feel uncomfortable? Be very frank to your heart and tell me, how many of you feel uncomfortable telling your parents, I love you? On face. Be very frank. I was. Yeah, what are you hiding with? Yeah, we feel uncomfortable. How can I say my parents, I love you? Most of us, yes. Do you understand? We without our knowledge have become so inhuman that having received so much, we can't feel like saying I love you. We feel awkward, we feel uncomfortable, something to say I love you. Believe me, yeah, it may look awkward, it may look artificial. Hug them and say I love you. They may start crying for all you know. Because they may be wanting to hear that for many, many years. For very many years, and they wouldn't have got it. We have all this prejudice. We don't have that culture in the house. Damn it, if you don't have the culture in the house, start it. You're in 9th and 10th standard now. Yeah, that culture was not there in my house also. Now you'll never meet my mother and not hug her. I don't know, for last 10 years. Till now I hug her and sleep with her. She is my mother after all. I remember when I was young, I was suffering with viral fever. My mother sleeps next to me. I used to wonder, won't she catch fever? She would many a time, she wouldn't care. She would catch fever many a time, she wouldn't care. For her, what is important is I being comfortable. Because it's a nice feeling holding your mother when you're not feeling well, you know. Life seems to be a lot better today for me because I have a beautiful relationship with my parents. And I have authority to say this. I have authority to say this because I was on the other side of the shore too for very many years. I was on the other side of the shore for close to 10 years. 10 years I was opposing them. I was revolted. I wanted to prove that they're wrong. And then I shifted. So I know what it is being that side. I know what is being this side. Next time you feel like saying no to the request, let this thought pass by you. For whom am I saying? And for what after all am I saying? What is that after all they are asking? Having done so much for so many years, what is that after all they are asking for which I am trying to say no? You need to think for a moment. Once you set right the relationship with your parents, a lot of things fall in place. You become very confident. Your parents have to be your closest friends. How can they be my close friends? They don't understand me. It's okay. It's okay they don't understand you. I know there is a generation gap. I know they're not able to understand from which angle you're seeing. That day I told you, this is a rectangle your parents are seeing and you're seeing a straight line. Your parents will never see the straight line. They'll only see the rectangle. You try to see the rectangle from their point of view. For all what you have received from them. For all what you have received from them, why don't you go and see from their point of view? I have an advice for you all. Go home, hug your parents. Tell them thank you for bringing you on this earth. Thank you for putting you into a great school. Thank you for cooking every day, ironing your dress, washing your dress, making your bed, paying your school fees, dropping you to your tuitions, dropping you to your school, dropping you to your bus stop where you board your bus, packing your breakfast. Thank them. Please take it as an advice. Go, first thing, thank them. Especially boys will feel very uncomfortable. What will they feel? Won't they laugh? Let them laugh. It's their time. Give them that laughter. What's your problem? Won't they feel it's artificial? You do it genuinely. It's okay, let them feel it's artificial first day. But you do it genuinely. Ask them, shall I press your feet? Will it make you feel better? You've done so much to me, can't I do this much to you? They say, no, it's okay, go read. It's okay. You give me the whole life. I am all only because of you. Big deal. They ask you something which is just not acceptable by you. They tell you, we will remove the cable from the house, let's say. You feel it's utter insensitive thing to do. It's okay. It's okay. Did you do all right things from the day one? Didn't you throw tantrums? They gave you a toy, didn't you throw it out? When you're 1 year old, when they gave you a toy, didn't you throw it out? Didn't you throw tantrums? When they could handle so much, why can't you handle? This much of theirs. Connect with your parents because they are willing to do anything for you. Please note. Let's assume Asmita does something terrible in school. Okay, Asmita does something terrible in school, God knows what. And the parents are called. Don't you think your parents will stand by you and apologize on your behalf? Why? Because you are not separate from them. When they can stand by you for every mistake you do, every good things you do, can't you stand by them at least sometime? For a moment, I want you people to close your eyes and visualize what are the things your parents have done till now. What all have they done to you? Please close your eyes. I want you to visualize. Close your eyes and visualize all things what your parents have done to you. And every time you acknowledge, please say thank you in your mind. Chirag, every time you acknowledge that your parent has done something to you, say thank you in your mind. Thank you, Daddy, for doing this. Thank you, Mommy, for doing this. That day I fell down. You rushed me to the hospital. I didn't say thank you. Now let me tell you, thank you. Every day morning at 6 o'clock you wake up to make my breakfast. I haven't told you thank you. Now I want to tell you thank you. Please thank them.